we got to
like
talk
that
about.
I remembered to not unplug it this time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was good. You learning. You learning. So this is gonna be. We're gonna be taking two little things that happened in the headlines, and I'm gonna kind of blur them in together. But it's gonna start with Shaquille O'Neal. So he had Country Wayne. Shout out to our guy. This is the third time he's been on mentioned in our show. But he was on.
Is he like doing a?
He's probably on
dropping
a run.
special or something.
I'm pretty sure there's something coming out.
He's promoting something.
He's selling. It's the top of the year. A lot of comedians like to do stuff at the top of the year because they can sell out for their tours later on. So this is him and Country Wayne talking about opening up to women.
It's like a relationship. The day you fall off, that woman ain't interested as you think.
Yeah, once you start complaining and dragging your feet.
She don't want to hear no complaint. The day you come home and think you could be like, baby, I was down, I lost it. She gonna be stroke your ego, but she gonna remember that time. You cannot let them see you one time down. The world can't see your head down one time.
Ever. Talk about it.
So I tell people.
I want you both to know that you can.
No.
Like, and I know that you've experienced.
Cannot.
I don't want to get to like Dr. Phil shit.
Doug.
No,
That's
but
not-
You don't
not
think
your
you've
life.
ever had someone that you really could trust and really open up?
Nope.
Now, if you want to keep it, now if you want to give somebody else some coochie all the time, you know what I'm saying if you want to bad, I'm just being real.
No, I guess.
you open up to a woman?
Yeah.
Never. No, never.
When's the last time you think you've opened up to a woman?
We don't.
Your whole life.
Bro, I'm telling you. They
Yeah,
gon-
got players like I could. Me and him related.
Yeah.
It's our first time meeting,
Yeah,
but
I can tell you guys.
yeah,
There's
no, I
some
don't.
connection here,
Oh no.
If they gonna tell you, you can.
Because you know why?
but it's a trap.
Because you know why?
I'm trapped
No,
like a motherfucker.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. Because once you do, whenever something go down, they're gonna throw it back in your face.
I've had
That's why.
that.
Real.
That's why. So you cannot.
So Shaq brought up an interesting point about, when you fall short, especially in their community, when you're somebody who is a high earner provider, when you fall, the reminder that you fell is a higher. So before we got to talk into this, because a lot of people were shitting on Shaq, saying like, oh, look at him trying to talk down, saying, oh, women ain't gonna be there. I think it's pretty interesting to talk about somebody else before we get into it, which was Miss Gayle King. And she had this to say about an individual that she dated prior. So Shaq's example, bringing it up again.
Do you think you could lend me $4,000? And I'm like, oh, God. Asked what it's for. He said, yeah, it was for a child support issue. Do you think
So she went on to say, and this is from the Black Billionaires, and this is the whole tweet says, Gayle King said she loaned a man that she was dating 2 months, $4,000 to cover his child support issues. He paid, this quote, he paid back in time, but I never looked at the relationship the same. I couldn't get over it via the pivot. So she was on the pivot with Ryan Clark and those guys. And this is where it's tough, where it's like, that's exactly what he's saying. Point blank, period. So this is not no run of the mill, pull her out the jigaboo black woman. This is Gayle King.
Yeah.
This is a top tier elite black woman bringing up a situation in which a man paid her back the money that he needed.
Real
But
quick,
she still couldn't look.
She really picked the best friend. Continue.
She picked who Oprah?
Yeah. The best friend.
Yeah, they can just be rich and bitter together. But no, this is where a lot of guys talk about where you can't be
I hope y'all bumping
vulnerable.
purses. I really do. I hope y'all bumping purses.
And they make Stedman watch. But
ooh, yes.
This is where it comes down to. So I can't. To me, when I hear stories like this and I see interaction like this, people will say like, "Hey, why don't you hold your brothers accountable when they're doing X, Y, and Z wrong?" And it's like, because this is the risk. The risk isn't worth the reward in that situation. For me to tell somebody, "Hey, you need to be this kind of individual," when I know at your first failure, you're going to be looked at like you always fail, I'm not going to be mad at you for falling. They'll be saying "Oh, why y'all don't be saying nothing to y'all homeboys when they be doing X, Y, and Z?" Because I know if my homeboy fails at his work or his job, that girl going to leave him anyway. Not because she's there for the money, but because he can't hold up his own anymore. So if he's holding up his own and he's able to do it to effect where, hey, he might do something else, I'm not going to say, oh, he shouldn't be doing it. I'm not gonna tell him, oh, you wrong for that. I may not live that life for myself, but I'm not gonna tell somebody else who's worked hard and done all this time to create this lifestyle that he shouldn't be able to experience it the way he should. I'm not gonna shit on his parade.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think those two topics kind of in line. I do want to hear your thoughts on it as well, because I talked about it prior too, where it's like y'all don't have examples of how to really be in relationships when y'all hear women who are at the top of the top sound like this. So what does that make you think when you hear this, what Shaq said in regards to being able to open up with women, and then seeing what Gayle brought up in that conversation with the pivot?
I think what Shaq said is a sentiment that men have had for a very long time. Like, men of all socioeconomic levels have this same problem with women. Like, they open up to us, and then when we get into the heat of the moment, we use your vulnerability as ammo, which I don't know what the fuck that's about. Honestly, I really don't. Like, I wish I looked into this before, and I wish I knew like psychologically what that was about, because it has to be some type of like warfare on our part. Like,
no, I think it's very interesting too, because she said that on the same podcast that Shaq was on, where he talked about some of the flaws he had with him and his wife, and how, you know, he was cheating and stuff like that. But you kind of gotta put things in perspective. If you feel like you can't open up to the woman that you call your wife, and you can't share your vulnerabilities with her because you feel like it's in fear it's going to bring you back and take you, like, of course you're going to cheat. Of course you're going to respond the way you did, because you're not even with her for legitimate reasons.
Shaq was going to cheat regardless, though. But I mean, yeah, get that off.
That's why I don't feel like when everybody was kind of bringing it up,
that nigga was going to cheat whether he could like openly cry in the fetal position on her lap, sucking her titty or not. Like,
I can't say that he would cheat. I can say that if he felt more comfortable.
Listen. That he would cheat.
No, because see, this is what your idea. Your idea of cheating, him just sleeping with other women. My idea is he's saying, I'm going to sleep with other women, but I'm going to do it with you knowing that it's happening. Okay. And you're going to understand what's going on. There's a difference between opening up with a woman and being vulnerable, and that's a real thing. Yeah. Hey, I love you. You are the mother of my children, but I am the big ticket. I mean, he's not the big ticket. I'm the big diesel. I'm Superman. So you know what? When I go to Milwaukee, there's a shawty that I like that she gonna get it when I go over there, and you gonna still have this house and this mansion, and she gonna have a little apartment and a little Honda, and that's just what it is. But I can, if I'm not able to
you
open
better
be
say
vulnerable.
Little Honda.
I'm just saying.
You better, nigga.
When you Shaq, when you him, like, it's just a different kind of lifestyle.
You better not show this bitch a life of luxury.
I mean, it may not be a luxury, but it might be a luxury apartment. But that's what I'm just saying, where it's like, it's a different lifestyle, and you have to be able to communicate that. And if you can't communicate that, then you get caught up in cheating situations, where now you being exposed when you could have just been like, hey, I love you to death. I want you to have this lifestyle. I want you to still be in the house so I can be with my kids. But you just going to understand that you ain't going to be the only one. And that comes from really being vulnerable and open to your partner. Mm-hmm. Because if anybody can do it, it's Shaq.
Oh my God, I guess.
I'm just saying.
I guess
you can't. You can't ask.
It does come from a place of honesty and transparency for you to be like, I don't want to cheat on you, but I do want to get things from other people that I can't get everything from you. And
you have to understand, when you with somebody like that, that's probably gonna be a concession that you have to do, because look at her now. She's
100%.
She created Basketball Wives solely off of his name. That's crazy.
She's a television executive
off of his last name.
Yeah.
Solely, nothing else. Like, respectfully talking, like, yes, she put in the work and she worked with the networks and all that stuff, but none of that work is value if you don't get on your back for Shaquille O'Neal.
I don't like the way you worded that.
That's just real.
Reword that.
That's just real talk. If she doesn't have Shaq's kids and gets married from Shaq, who is she?
She networked correctly.
Oh, but she can. All I'm ever saying is this, and this is what a lot of people.
I'm just saying
I
your
know.
wording is very aggressive,
Well,
sir.
it's because I have a very true belief that everybody's work isn't valued the same. Everybody's
God
hard work.
damn.
Everybody's hard work isn't valued the same.
Because who you were married to,
I'm just saying. Well, it
because
could,
who you open.
but
Like what?
It's not just that. It's married, had kids for, was in a high profile relationship with. Like it all stems
All
from
that,
that.
yeah, all
Like
that.
all that had a high profile divorce. Like all of that puts you in the news. All of that puts you out there. Had a high profile TV show. So I mean, the only reason I bring all that up is because people brought that up when he was on the pivot, and just to see this example be brought up by somebody like Gayle King, I can't be mad at how the brothers respond, especially when they up. Like you want these guys to say, oh, why can't you be a faithful man when you have all this money and stuff? It's because is it really worth me being faithful if I can't tell somebody, hey, I love you, I want you to be in my life, and they remain in my life even though I'm going to be with other women, and they just gotta understand that. Now I gotta lie to you and tell you, I'm not doing it. And I gotta hide and make sure I'm paying for extra. Now I'm wasting money just because I gotta lie to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you know I'm that nigga, you should just accept, hey, this will come with being with that nigga. Nigga wasn't swinging. If nigga ain't swinging,
You
man.
gotta know that from jump. Like if I was one of these girls that was dating rappers and shit like that, I feel like I would definitely have the mindset that like this nigga gonna cheat.
So do you feel like with Gayle King, like do you think that those examples have been like taught to y'all just so poorly from people in her position?
What are you asking? Reword.
I feel like people in her position will tell individuals to shoot for the stars per se,
Mm-hmm.
but really in reality, most people are just going to get into the atmosphere. And so instead of telling people what's going to be probably best interest for them, they tell them what benefits her. So she's going to tell women, follow your career, do all this X, Y, and Z. But then she is this person who would bring up this kind of conversation to shit on a guy. Like, what kind of example is that for someone who says, I want to be a wife, but then also want to be a career woman? Granted, Gayle King isn't a wife, but that would be somebody who a wife would aspire to be in a way, professionally.
That was mad. You made the question longer.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah, I don't know what in all of those words was the question. I don't know what it was.
How did you feel like that leadership from women that are in those positions are being shown to y'all when it comes to being involved with other men or being involved with men? Are they showing y'all right leadership? Or
if you're taking relationship advice from people whose relationships you don't actually like know the ins and outs of, like in your personal life, I feel like you're stupid. If you're
but like, okay,
if you're taking relationship advice,
but it's not even just advice. It's a stigma too.
If you're listening and trying to model yourself after somebody who is not successful in a part of their life that is important to you, that you're trying to be successful in, that's just dumb.
But she is though. If I'm trying to be professionally someone like Gayle King.
Well, if I'm trying to be married, I wouldn't listen to Gayle King.
But
if I'm trying to be a journalist,
but you know what
a
y'all
professional woman, I'll listen to Gayle King.
But y'all not that's not painted to y'all that way. It is painted. I can have everything. I can be the mom. I can have my career. I can be the wife. Like it's told to y'all, I can be all everything. And we both know time is 24 hours in a day. You can't. You got to be asleep for 8 of them. You can't do all that. You're going to fall in different areas in regards to that. And it doesn't seem like it's real women in her position that's sitting there and being like, hey, sometimes you got to pick. And this is what it looks like when you pick. At least Ebony K started to be honest with women and saying that, even though she's still on